Hey everyone, it's Catherine Skaggs. I am doing a pop up live with the Mythical Goddess Tarot to talk about these energies going on right now. We are on quite the ride, are we not? From the election crazies to the fear that has arisen to newborn confidences of people rising up to let their voices be known. And tomorrow we've got an interesting astrological configuration taking place. It's going to also influence the direction of what's happening, which we've had the planets, the stars, and everything truly working with us to make great change. Some of us don't necessarily believe it yet, and yet there's a great deal of us in the spiritual community who know there's something amazing taking place. There's a lot going on behind closed doors. So don't expect what you see to be the reality of what is. There's a breakdown taking place. Tomorrow we have Pluto, which is considered the dark lord of the underworld, of great change. This planet that, I'm not an astrologer. I know enough to be dangerous, as they say. But this energy is moving out of Capricorn tomorrow, November 19th, and it's moving into Aquarius. Now, Capricorn is the symbol for the patriarchy. It's the symbol for the banking system, for the insurance system, for the government. And Aquarius is this energy of a new day, a new dawn, invention, inspiration, possibility. What is good for one is good for all, meaning there is this we aspect to Aquarius that is bringing us into the power of the people, knowing that the government can't rule us in the way that it has in the past, and that only a few at the top can't have all the money, that there's got to be a great change taking place, and that the planets and the stars are moving everything around for us to find our way. Doesn't mean that everything's going to be solved in the short picture. It's more like this is revolution. This is evolution taking place. The last time some of these energies came through was the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Industrial Revolution, is that we can expect a great deal of new technology coming in, new light, probably assistance from ETs and the stars to help us understand better how to work in our reality, as well as, hello, Christina, as well as a great deal of energy that's going to look like conflict, a rising up of the people to make our voices known, to really change things. Now, I know many of us don't believe that we've gotten it done yet, but just know that we need to be tenacious. We need to focus on the light. We need to focus on peace within our own beings so we know how to show up in a more reasonable manner and not just emotionally out of whack. And as a Pisces with a Cancer rising and a lot of Scorpio, believe me, I know that focusing the mind is really important so our emotions don't take us over, that they are important, they're guidelines, they can help us with our intuition, but we need to be very focused inwardly so that we can show up in a greater peace and clarity of how to make the change. All right, so I'm going to throw some cards from the Mythical Goddess Tarot to address these changing energies right now. Sorry I haven't been on before now. There's a lot of people doing readings, astrology readings, tarot readings, and I'm going to put in my 2 cents worth today to see what do we need to know to move through these times with greater clarity, with greater strength, with greater peace, and for greater resolve that we're going to get it done, whatever it is, in our personal lives and in the collective, to make a difference for humanity. It really is time to focus on humanity. One world, one heart. And for a lot of people, that's not easy. And for many of us who are empathic, we've been struggling. So I can guarantee you that there's something amazing taking place, that from a divine perspective and a soul perspective, there's no mistake that you're here, that we have chosen to be here at this time to bring our light, and that it's time for great change, and that we have the strength and ability to do it. We need to band together in greater sense of love and peace. And how do you do that? Well, first of all, we need to look within and take space to meditate, to be quiet and go within. So hopefully this reading with the Mythical Goddess Tarot is going to give you some insight from the Divine Feminine, from the perspective of the goddesses, of a story of moving into the Aquarian age. Sage Holloway, who's the author of this deck that I painted, was a visionary. And she visioned this deck when she was 17 out in LA where she grew up. And I met her back in the 90s, and we didn't give birth to this deck until the 2008. And it was a great honor to do so because I learned that she was quite the visionary. She was an Aquarian, and she understood, the changing times that are taking place. She's on this in the spirit world helping us now. So I'm going to ask Sage if she'll put her 2 cents in with this reading to give us the greatest clarity that we need to know and see what the cards have to say. So at the begin, I did a 15 card spread, and in the first 3 cards it has to do with who are we going into this time with Pluto going into Aquarius. This time of really letting go of the old structures as they've been, any way they've dominated us, any way that we need to let them go, and what do we need to know about that? So first of all, we've got the mother of creativity. She's a wind card, meaning she is the mental suit. This is about how we're moving into this. So she gives me hope that we're a little bit more centered than we're led to believe at times. Those of you watching are probably the ones that are a little more centered because this is a spiritual reading and this is pretty much what I do. And those are the kind of people I follow, or follow me. So I want you to pay attention to your mind and how you are taking time to allow the higher dimensional light to come into you. Inspiration, intuition, the ability to create from a higher mind, not from the lower egoic fear state, but from an illuminated mind. This card is a very good card for the mental suit. There's more negative cards in the mental suit than any other part of the deck because our minds go crazy, and we need to tame our minds and be in this place that is high creativity. Hey Jamie, good to see you, girl. So this creative mind is going to be what leads us into a new way of being. It's telling us that this is where we're centered right now, which is good because it is a positive place for us to move forward. The other piece is addressing our emotional sense. Now, believe it or not, as much as chaos is out there, there are many of us centered in this place of heart, this place of passion. So you put that passion together with that mental creativity, and we can get a lot done. So this is important. These cards are showing up right now because it's acknowledging this shift into Aquarius, this shift into a greater perspective from heart and mind. There's a heart resonance and a mind resonance taking place right now. So for those of you watching, that makes a lot of sense probably. Even if you've had some fears coming up, know that the mind and the heart are working together for the greater good, for your greater good and for the greater good of humanity, because right here we also see the community card, which is this is a trifecta right now. There's a movement of the people with a higher mindset, with a big heart that says we have the passion, we have the mind to move forward and make the changes needed to move into this Aquarius energy, to move into a better way of being that benefits all people. And it's time that we all do our best to know how to live that in our own personal lives. So that just is the start of this whole reading that says, who are we and where are we headed here? So with this energy of Pluto coming in to help us move into the Aquarian age, just this transit coming through is helping bring an influence that's going to last up into 2043, I believe. So we've got a long influence of helping us shift out of the old way of being, shift into a new heart-centered, higher mind way of being. And in the big picture, there's 3 cards here. It's not going to be without conflict. So we're going to need to meet that conflict with that heart. We're going to need to meet that conflict by staying centered mentally and creatively, because we're going to be challenged with anger, with fire. We're going to be challenged with people who don't want to make change. This looks like an entanglement of dragons here in the 5 of fire. This is about passion. This is about also, the way I painted this card, I look at it and I think of it being this energy of the DNA at times. Like it's all screwed up, it's all tangled up. And believe me, because we have gone through trauma, lifetime after lifetime, generation after generation, conquering one over another. This patriarchal energy of oppression is up, and we must meet these conflicts with our minds and our hearts. And again, with this card here in the big picture, what we're looking at, for us to go through into a new age, we have to address all the underbelly of what is not love, of what is not harmony, what is not good for one is not good for anybody. We have to address how to be in harmony with humanity and move into a new age. So, next to the conflict card, we have a mental card again, and we've got an emotional card. We've got the child of consciousness, and we've got the purity card, which is all about the heart emotionally. So, in the big picture, for us to overcome the conflict, we need to restore our childlike nature. Here we've got the mother of wind in the first part of the reading, and we've got the child of consciousness in the second part. This is restoration of magic, of connecting to the higher mind, of the oneness of higher consciousness, to bring in the magic, to meet the conflict and transform it. That not to like magical thinking that doesn't make things happen. This is really about creating a new reality and being open at the top. So think of children. Typically, children, until an adult has told them to be afraid or they haven't had an experience that frightens them, they are curious. They can't wait for the new day to come, and they are ready to create. So, this is another energy that says this is what we're moving into, what we need to lean into is that curiosity of a child's mind to go to the greater heights of possibility, to bring in the magic for our individual lives as well as the greater good for humanity. That it's what we're going to need to overcome the conflict in the lower egoic part of the world, of the government, of the patriarchy, of the old ways of being. We also need to trust the purity of our hearts. Now, again, this is a mermaid, a maiden, a woman under the water who's open and pure in her heart. This is a Pisces energy. This in Pisces, in its greatest good, is a very enlightened energy and one of its highest vibrations. And this is one of those energies, is that in the big picture, we are moving back toward accessing our higher selves and bringing in heart. Again, that resonance between the mind and heart, that they're not separate, that we need to bring the two together to have the solutions to overcome the fighting, that it's time to stop fighting. We need to come together to find solutions. Together, we have so many more resources than we do when we're at odds with one another. And that is just very reasonable to say. That's not really hard to know, but it's something that we need to do. Well, it's very interesting. I shuffled and shuffled. So the next three cards have to do with fire. It has actually, the section of this reading is what are our challenges or our lessons right now? And with the challenges and the lessons comes opportunities. Hi, Tom. Great to see you. Thanks for saying hello. So, in the lessons or the opportunities, during this time when there's conflict, when there's great change and you're feeling some of that fear that you may have within you, or you're not really sure how things are going to go, we're going to need to anchor into the light. We must return to meditation, to looking into ourselves, to the light, to our soul selves, to our higher consciousness, that we are the light. And we need to practice daily, regularly, about not only looking at the light and the possibility of centering in the light, but by doing so, we become the beacons of light that shine through the darkness. I mean this in so many ways. This is, hello, Patricia. We need to strengthen ourselves by focusing on the light. You know, when I got into metaphysics many years ago, 40 some odd years ago, one of the first things I learned is whatever you focus on expands. So if you're watching the news, if you're afraid, if you're watching the duality going on, it is only feeding the fear in yourself, in the cells of your body, and what is really there for you to change personally. So individually, we must focus on the light within so that we can start to see the light in other people and in all situations, that there's a divine plan in place here, and that we're walking through this environment of this dualistic illusionary dream called humanness on earth in the biggest school that you can imagine. Is that our really our lesson is to be in the light, and that it is already within us. Within every one of us, there's light. The question is, are you focusing on it, or are you focusing on the fear and the darkness? If we all come into the light, guess what? That darkness is going to go away. It sounds simple, but it takes a lot of tenacity, focus, and courage to come into the light when there are dark times. So join me in that light. The other piece that we are learning is integrity. Integrity from our conscious minds, which is the solar aspect of us, the outer expression of who we are, and our moon selves, our inner selves. This card is a Sagittarius energy with both the moon and the sun. She has her eyes closed, looking within, and she's got all these rainbow colors without. The original painting name was Angel Rainbow Dreamer. And in shamanism, metaphysics, and every mystical teaching, spiritual teaching I've ever come across, is that we are souls dreaming this reality. So guess what? Not only focusing on the light, but focusing on the integrity of your higher soul self, your connection to the divine, to how you act, how you speak, and what you work with every single day. Are you bringing light through you, or are you contributing to the conflict? So we must face our inner conflict, our inner anger, and our inner separation from source, as well as how we feel separate from others, especially those that don't act like us or look like us. This is a time for soul transformation, to truly lean into the oneness of our connection to spirit or source or God, whatever your language, and how we address how we feel and act toward one another. That we need to be in integrity with this higher sense of soul and what I consider is love. And can we live that, act that every day? Hey, Katie. Hey, April. I love seeing y'all here. Yeah, that's our challenge, is for us to move into this Aquarian age and move out of the old way of being. Is we've got to consider, are we in oneness in ourselves? Can we love our neighbor? Can we love our enemy? Whether you follow Jesus, Buddha, or plant medicine, or just whatever the higher consciousness is for you, it's time for us to embody that. You know, in my spiritual path, what I've considered for a long time is that one Buddha or one Christ is not the story in this timeline. Many Buddhas, many Christs are here to be awakened, and that's you and me. It's time for us to embody these principles, to live them, to be the light where there is darkness. Yes, I grew up Baptist. I got this preacher in me, folks, and I'm so on fire right now that we need to come home to this, because our opportunity is transmutation of the density in this reality. By doing our work and by coming together in community, we have the ability with that fire to alchemize this crap. Yes, I'm very irreverent. Let's say it. We're here to alchemize the darkness by moving through the fire to purify ourselves, and then we can bring that purification energy of light to all we meet. Can you imagine if you can purify your fear, and you can actually become more and more light, more and more illuminous, that by just simply walking through a room, you bring light to others? You can't make anyone change, but the more luminous you are, the more high frequency you are, that you're connected to your higher divine self, that energy in your field begins to poke into the field of another human. That together we have a wave of light and consciousness that touches others. And we don't have to do anything to them. We simply need to love ourselves and connect to our higher source. And through that, we love everybody else. If you can imagine that our energy is expansive in doing this. So we are here to lift above the ashes of what is dying and to become the luminous wise ones that has compassion and guidance for those who've been in the dark. Is by doing our work, we'll bring that light to the world. And I do trust that this is happening. As ugly as it's looked, I trust that it is happening. And I ask you to jump on the bandwagon with me if you will, because my cosmic cheerleader is saying we can do this. We are doing this. We've got the astrological support. We've got the support of ETs. We've got the support of ascended masters and archangels. It takes a lot of courage to stand up and be the light within the darkness. And together we can do this. So what's our action? I've got some very cool cards that have shown up in our action that's going along with this inspirational message here. I'm going to pick this one first. It's the Ace of Fire. We've got a lot of fire in our reading here. We're meeting the conflict with higher consciousness and heart. We've got the fire of passion to transmute it, fire of spirit. The Ace of Illumination is really what I was just talking about. This card is new beginnings. This card is light, illumination, higher mind consciousness. The original name of this painting, which is pretty fun, I can share you this because I'm the artist of all this and know how it all came into each card, is the original name of this painting is Dakini Kundalini Mama. And that's a mouthful, right? But as I was painting this, it's so appropriate for these times, is that I was moving through a big ending in my life. And during that time of ending, I was enraged by the actions of some other people. And it was causing a big change in my life, end of one of my businesses. And I didn't want to throw anger at someone else. So I go to my studio and I go to paint, and red paint and black paint come on the canvas. And as I'm doing it, I go into a trance. And Dakini, this female energy, this Sanskrit word Dakini comes into my mind, and I'm like, what is that? Asking my guides. They said, shut up and paint. And later I go look it up, and what it means is sky dancer. And another psychological translation is an illuminated mind, one who's let go of the lower mind and moved to an illuminated state. So this card holds that energy. It is about us purifying ourselves and moving through the darkness to go to higher mind, to have the passion and the fire to create new beginnings, and to know that that is what this Aquarian energy with Pluto is all about, plus all the other things coming into our time frame, that we can actually move into the Aquarian age, which is very much about a whole golden age that is destined for us to move into. It's one of our timelines that we are here to experience. So we are here to move out of the dark. So do your best to meditate, to have spiritual practices every day, to be mindful about what your focus is. To be mindful is your heart and your mind connected in love and in higher consciousness. And then you become more enlightened. And in doing so, you add to the shift of what is possible here, of how we can co-create a new reality. So that's a great card to have here. And since I used the language, the other thing about aces in the deck that Sage always taught me is they're not only new beginnings, but it means that we are protected. We are protected in that new phase. We have angels all around us, and we have helpers. So I want you to imagine that you've got angels helping you to become more enlightened, to help you move forward in your life, to stay focused in the light. No matter your challenges, whatever they are, they're here to purify you of your old DNA, of your old programming, that you can move into more heart and more light. The other card that's in the action is White Buffalo Calf Woman. And she's perfect. You know, all the white buffalo calves that have been born, as well as other animals that are white, are symbolizing the purification process coming onto the planet, symbolizing a new age to come, that we are walking into a new age. This card here is called Sacred Fire. Now, White Buffalo Calf Woman brought the pipe and tobacco to send prayers to Spirit. She brings in the energy of white buffalo, which is purity. She brings in 7 sacred rites to the people to purify themselves of their lower mind, of their lower lustful states, to know that we can move to that sense of pure heartedness and purity, that we live life as a ceremony, that we are all interconnected, that our actions create, that our thoughts create, and that when we have impure thoughts and impure actions, we need the support to purify and cleanse ourselves. So, fire ceremony, Sundance, sending prayers to spirit. These are all ways that White Buffalo Calf Woman, being in this part of the reading, is saying your spiritual practices right now are what are needed to center you in the light. That is what you can do to change the reality with the collective. Is every day go into meditation, every day go to your altar and pray, every day walk in nature and thank Mother Earth for all that she gives. Whatever your practices, fortify them now to purify your heart of anger, of hatred, of separation, to purify your mind of criticism and of thoughts that separate you from others. It's not easy. This path is that of the Bodhisattva. This path is that of enlightenment, is that together we're moving into greater consciousness, greater compassion, greater capacity to vision anew that includes all, and that brings in new inventions and new ways of seeing the world that we can create and heal beyond what we've been able to do so far. We are moving into a new time. So, what's the third card in the action? Do it. Give birth. Just do it. Bring in that energy that supports you of bringing your light, your heart, your ideas, your desire for change is to participate by taking physical action to bring it to earth. What are your contributions that make the world a better place? What are your ideas that you can take action on? So pray, do your physical actions that help you purify yourself. That's one of them. How do you move into community to add more that supports people coming into greater harmony? It's interesting. My guides have been bugging me for a while to do one-on-one channeling sessions, and I had resistance, even though I've been channeling for 30 some odd years. And I'm like, I do it in soul portraits. I do it in healing sessions. I do it when I teach. It happens. I do it when I'm reading here. And yet they were very clear to give another service, another way to interact with people, to bring light, to bring consciousness, and to support them in how they can bring this energy to themselves. So think about, pray about, ask, what are your contributions that bring this light more into the planet? And that's part of what you give to yourself. It's also part of what you give birth to others. You may have some great ideas right now. Follow through. Take action. That's what that card is saying. Make sure you take action. Oh, I love this. I love this. I love this. Okay, what is the outcome? Well, I did a reading the other night during the full moon on Friday, and Lilith shows up. And if you don't know who Lilith is, she is massively this goddess of equality in our deck. She's the power card. She is about equality. Now, remember, she was the last goddess I painted because I think she kind of scared me. She is this ancient goddess, and I've got two stories, and I'm going to tell them to you right now. You need to know who Lilith is if you don't. She is Adam's first wife. Yes, Adam and Eve were not the first. Adam and Lilith were born out of the same substance, and Eve was born out of the side of Adam, meaning she was subservient when she came in. She came in during the patriarchy. Guess what? Lilith came in equally. You can find this in ancient Hebrew Judaic text to learn about who Lilith is and how when Adam wouldn't play equally anymore, the patriarchy was starting to come in, that influence into this earth reality. And so Lilith called God and she said, hey, he's not playing fair. I want out of here. I don't want to be dominated by a man. I want to be free. And so Lilith, she gets talons and wings given to her by God, and she flies away to be free to be with whatever man she wants, to have children with whomever she wants, to be wherever she wants to go. And guess what? That is when in Judaism and early Judaic times is that she became demonized and the divine feminine became demonized. And we've been living with it for thousands of years. So, guess what? Her being in the outcome tells me there is a rising up of the divine feminine. There is an outcome where greater equality will be on this planet as a result of the coming times of facing the oppression, of facing the domination of just a few with lots of money, and that we're in extreme shift. And yes, it's going to be conflicted. That's why you need to have your spiritual practices to anchor you in the light, to face the fear that lives within you, so you can face the fear in the world around you and overcome it. That Lilith is here to say we are rising above the oppression, that we are rising above what has been to create a new reality, one that is born of equality for all, every single being on this planet. That she is telling us we are not going to stand for it anymore, that there's a new day, and that we're going to make it happen. We're in the process. Two other mental cards have shown up, which is very important. I see the mental cards in this suit, in this reading, are saying we need to tend our minds and come to higher mind, and that is part of how we're going to get to where we want to be, is that our heart's resonating with higher consciousness. And with Lilith in the outcome, we have an Aquarian card in the mind. Aquarius is the new way of being. It's a air, and this is the eagle-headed woman. She is a crone, meaning she has wisdom. She holds an egg. So she tells me that the wisdom of the higher mind is the outcome that comes with Lilith and equality, is that we are going above the minutia of the duality, of the fighting, of the separation, to come into a higher state of awareness that we can see from a divine perspective, and that with this Aquarian energy, we bring new life. New life is given, new ways of being, new ways of creating for humanity, new ways for yourself. Hello, Connie. Great to see you. I am so glad this connected us together, too. For we are here to bring a new age. We are here to bring new ways of being. We are here to rise up above oppression and to come into greater harmony. All of us, I don't care what side of the fence you've been on, we need to come together in the heart and the mind. We need to stop fighting and come into higher mind. And that's part of this reading, is to bring us back to a place that we can let the light shine between us, within ourselves and within one another. The other piece that's really important as we finish up this reading is say, what is this energy ultimately culminating in? It's a change in power structures, it's new vision, new way of being. And here we have this card, which is also Aquarian energy. And part of what stimulated the timing of this is that we've got Pluto moving into Aquarius tomorrow out of Capricorn, which is the fall of the old structures, is that we are moving into a place where we work with higher mind, with greater intention and clarity. Again, this painting, she has her eyes closed. She's looking within. It's nighttime. She's going into dream time to look within, to know what is in the highest and best good, and to work with her intentions to create a new reality. So as we purify ourselves of all that separated us, of all the hurt, the pain, and we focus on our light, and we focus on this higher consciousness, we are here to create a new way of being as a species, to bring in higher consciousness that creates a reality that is much greater harmony, that is much greater light, and that we are actually here to do this together as a species. I don't care what side of the fence you're on politically. I don't care if you come from another country, you got a different color of skin, gender, sexuality. We are here to come into our heart spaces and higher mind to create with greater love and consciousness. This Aquarian age is bringing in new information. Every time this energies come in, we have incredible advances in technology. So if you want to put your money where technology is, it's a good time to do so, because you can imagine that this energy is going to bring in new tech. It's going to be hopefully positive with AI. It's bringing in new ways of bringing in energy that will help people all around the world with technology that I'm going to say is more like Tesla intended, that we may have the opportunity in this new model to have free energy. And I'm going out on a limb in a way, not that big, that we really have something happening that's pretty amazing as we get past the old structures. Is that free energy was where Tesla started years ago, that he was going to figure out how to bring light and electricity to all the people without any charge. But guess what? JP Morgan and these guys that had the money, they said, hey, wait, that doesn't make any money. And so we're going to charge people for it. And then they changed the way things were going to go. Well, guess what? This is the energy that says now is that time that we have that technology come that's for the benefit of all people. It's going to change all the structures in the way they've been. You know, I know a lot of people that have sensed the changes coming along and they've become afraid. You know, it's like, take care of yourself and lean into the possibility that this change is actually going to, in the big picture, make it better for everyone, and that the new structures that are coming in are more advanced. They're higher dimensional energies. I'm going to say that the ETs are helping us. Higher advanced civilizations are very invested in the expansion of humanity, of moving out of what I consider, hey Lisa, it's great to see you, moving out of this fearful state and this rebel state of being teenagers, where we're all fighting each other. That this new technology and this advancement is the awakening of humanity into a place where we're much more conscious. I don't think everyone's going to go for the ride, but collectively, there's going to be a mass shift, and we're it, folks. So do your work to love yourselves, to connect to the divine and whatever practices you have, or to find some new teachers and practices. Be committed, because your commitment to yourself and your practices of centering yourself in the light is very much what we all need to forgive the hardships, to forgive the hurts that have happened along the way, to learn from them. I want to add to this reading that whatever we're going through, we signed up for our soul growth, that we came to go through these challenges to grow on a soul level, to become more masterful, more filled with light, and that we have gifts to add to the situation. That not only the courage to be here at a time like this is part of our soul's mission is to have the courage to focus on the light and get out of the fear. That we are healing the fear of generations. We are healing the fear of some mindset that this is the way it has to go, that we have to keep fighting. This is the time of resolution, revolution, evolution. So start with yourself. That's the only place to start. Don't worry about everybody else. If you have gifts to contribute, please teach, please inspire, please lift others up when you can. If you're having a hard time, reach out to those that you feel can help you, that will not commiserate with you, but will love you through the pain until you can get back to the heart. So that's my preaching today, folks. I hope that you get some good out of this with these changing energies, that we are capable and we are wired for this next step. Between now and the end of the year, I'll guarantee you there's going to be a lot of things change that you would not expect, that there's things in the background taking place that we don't know about, that there's going to be a lot of unexpected stuff happen that will shift the way things look. And the best thing you can do is continue to be in your prayers, be in your practices, and be in your kindnesses for your neighbor, and to do the work of what it is to show up in heart and higher consciousness. And that if you're angry, well, work it out, put it in the fire, do your practices. If you're fearful, ask for help, move into the fire, come into ceremony with others. Many people are gathering now, doing violet flame meditations, doing ceremonies and gatherings. I do stuff all the time. Please reach out locally or to people you trust to help lift you up and strengthen you because you are strong. And when you're vulnerable, just know that you need to be loved until you can bring back into your center in the light. I know that we can do this. And if there's anyone frightened, I'm getting a download right now. I know there's a lot of people frightened and some people taking their lives because they're afraid they can't do this. Please reach out and help people. That brings a lot to my heart. You are loved through these difficult times. Let that kindness in you help another, no matter who they are. Okay? It's up to us to love one another. And that's how we're going to make it through this, with compassion and kindness and no judgment. If you've got judgment, lay it down if you can. Take it to the fire. We're here for each other. I love you, April. I love all of you. It's great to be here with you. I'm going to do my best to come back more. I always say that, but I'm working on it. And I've got some good stuff coming. So I just love you. The light is here and more is coming, and it's within you. So much love. I'll talk to y'all later.